Hello, creative people. Good evening, or good morning, or afternoon, wherever you are in this world. My name is Hollis Citron with Express Yourself Publishing, and I am so excited because I get to bring to you these incredible authors that have contributed to my multi author book, Invisible No More Stepping into the Spotlight. And you need to meet them because they're incredible humans. So tonight we have with us Kelsey Myers, and I'm just going to read the littlest bit about her because I want her to tell you about her, but I will look at this for a minute. So that's why my eyes are going over here. So Kelsey is a writer, artist, and registered somatic movement educator with the International Somatic Movement Education and Therapy Association. So I'm just going to say that because there's a lot of words in there where people are going to be like, what is that? So, Kelsey, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so glad you're here. So, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Yeah, basically, I work with people, usually women at a transitional point in their life, and if they're looking for more confidence and direction and kind of reclaiming their voice. And I use different arts-based practices and really bring it into the body, in their hearts, and their minds, so that they can have more integration and a clearer path forward. And that's also the process that I have trained in and gone through myself. So it's really a gift to be able to kind of give that back to other people.
Mm, yeah, so this whole integration, that's such a nice word. To like understand that you're really taking these different components and bringing them together. And like you said, confidence and direction, giving people giving people those skills.
Yeah, and I really feel like, well, I emphasize and have found that it really is a process, that it's very kind of cyclical, and there isn't really this end goal of being whole, but it really is this like unfolding and this process. And I love how you said it's bringing things together, because it is like bringing in all of these different layers and pieces and really helping to kind of recreate and reform them in new ways.
Mm, beautiful. So, can you tell us a little bit about your chapter? Give people a little hint into, I love the title of your chapter, Bold Strokes. Um, yeah, what did it mean to you? And give them a little hint, please.
Yeah, well, I was actually in a body and creativity class, and this self-portrait emerged that had these strokes in different colors. And a lot of times I blend with my fingers when I'm using oil pastels, so it looks more like a watercolor. And I just kind of left things bold and really striking, which felt different and new for me. And the title Bold Strokes just popped into my head, and I really wrote from there and kind of traced back through different parts of my childhood and different parts of my healing journey to really weave together this kind of picture of really coming into my boldness and expressing my voice in its full and like vibrant expression.
Mm. I love the first how you started off with, she kind of did this chapters within the chapter. So it was like bold stroke one, bold stroke two. And I kind of put it in a teaser of this where maybe you can kind of, yeah. So tell us about bold stroke one.
Yeah, well, Bold Stroke One actually it came out of this writing sprint that I was doing, where I just kind of set the timer for 2 minutes and was writing on this, these random topics. And it was part of this My Word writing group that I was doing with Lori Saltzman, and it just poured out. And I did revise it before kind of, putting it in the chapter, but um, I just loved kind of the flow. It felt like a good introduction, and it felt like first sort of step into kind of reclaiming my voice and looking at the ways in which I've used um, improvisation, the arts, throughout my life, and even sort of in this first sort of story that my mom loves to tell about me of going into this really fancy restaurant, and the first thing I did was take off my socks and shoes and stick my bare feet on the table. And she's like, "You had this look on your face that said, 'Here I am, world. Look at me.'" And and just sort of the way that that relates to stepping into the spotlight and not being invisible, and how I kind of started from that place and then learned to sort of hide myself and become invisible, and now sort of getting back to that sort of 3-year-old boldness.
So that's how old you were. You were 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so interesting how it always, I mean, a lot of times it starts that way where there's, when we're kids, because we don't have all that other stuff, as we all know this. So then it's kind of like, here I am. And then life starts to happen. And then we hear stories, things kind of get, we soak things up, we soak words up, and all of this kind of stuff. And then it, it alters things until we often, hopefully that's where the gold comes in, where we can refine ourselves and gain our confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, I love how sort of kind of going back to those old memories from my childhood, or, these different aspects of my journey, how when I could revisit them with the concept of each stroke, that it revealed more layers to me, and it came out in different ways than I've thought about them in the past. So it is, in a sense, also finding that boldness and finding that newness as I was creating this piece for the book.
So, in short, how would you say, like, tell us at least one way, how did you find more of your boldness?
Yeah, so I guess it really has helped me in doing more podcasts or interviews like this, kind of Facebook Lives and different podcast opportunities, and really owning my story more and having more confidence in speaking. Because I am a writer, and I have 2 MFAs, one in poetry and one in nonfiction writing. And so writing has always really been a strength of mine, and where I felt more comfortable expressing myself. And I find that now, having gone through the expressive arts and even just writing this chapter and having it, be out in the world next week, is really helping me claim my speaking voice in a way that I haven't in the past.
Isn't it empowering?
Yeah, it really is.
It's doing those scary things. It's doing those things that are uncomfortable. And because it's expansion, right?
Yeah.
So, why did this feel right for you? Why were you at a point where this opportunity resonated?
Well, there were a couple of reasons. One is that I really wanted to be part of a book, like the Kindle and the paperback version, just to see, my story in the page again. I have been published in some like online journals and in other anthologies, but this felt like sort of, I guess, like a next step in my writing career. And also I've been like 2 years ago, right as the pandemic was starting, I started my expressive arts coaching business. And, I really wanted to just expand my outreach and expand my audience and have my voice and my story out there as a way of relating to potential clients as well. So it felt like a great blend of, these 2 things that really fulfill me and inspire me in my business and in my own creative process.
Yeah, wonderful. So, can you please tell us a little bit more? I mean, when I said somatic movement education and all of this kind of stuff, can you give us a little bit more of a window into what you do and how you help people?
Yeah. So the somatic movement part is it doesn't have to be dance so much as movement exploration in finding ways to unpack or finding shapes through the body to express and release and change and transform trauma that's been held there. And as a somatic movement educator, I share the process with my clients, as well as help them find those movements in the body and express through their physical body.
Such freedom. Oh my gosh. I'm sure just the word resistance is coming in. Do you find in the beginning that there's a lot of resistance, or show me how, I don't know how to do this?
Yeah, there's so much sort of self-consciousness that comes if people think about, dance or expressing through their body in front of somebody as a witness, even when they feel safe. So there is in the beginning that part of really meeting that and allowing the expression to be just as natural as it can, like even just the breaths, there's movement, there's the rise and fall of our chest and our belly. And so really starting small where it can feel safer and doesn't have to be this huge expression like the bold expression. It can be the softer expression at first.
Yeah. Um, just those words, self-confidence and safe. That's what I would find a lot in the art room as well, being an art teacher, is that you want to create in anything that we do, we need to create that safe space for people to be able to feel expressive, to be able to feel like they can be authentic and explore and make mistakes and not have everything have to be, I don't know, I guess it leads to this word perfection, this whole
Mm-hmm.
perfectionist thing. I'm sure, I don't know, can you speak to me a little bit on that word perfection?
Yeah, sure. I find that what has helped me and what I've noticed helps my clients is really to bring in more fun and to take sort of that pressure off of having to create something with a large intention or this idea of, I want it to be in an art show or I want it to be, in a book. But to really just kind of break it down to that, what inspires you and what is fun in the moment and just to play with the creation. And I find that kind of bringing in the joy aspect really helps also with creating the safety and confidence to just play and experiment and have fun with it. And actually, I really appreciate that you brought in so much fun with helping us write these chapters and in the sort of exercises that you suggested and in the videos that you shared with us. Like, it really also helped for me to get back into that fun aspect of it instead of thinking about, it's work to have to create this chapter. And
Oh,
yeah, so that was really something I very much appreciated as being part of this group.
oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's just in anything, it's true because it can seem like work. So, and writing, as you know, you consider yourself a writer, and some of the people in this space don't have that label. So it's kind of like removing from that idea of having the label of being that, but more wanting that, wanting to tell your story, wanting to have people hear it, wanting to help people, wanting to be able to reach people, but not having that label as a writer. And there's a lot of feelings that go along with that. So it's wanting to create that space where people feel like they can just be expressive and say things they want to say them and feel good about it,
Yeah,
you know? So,
definitely.
yeah. So, anything else you want to share about what you do or anything about the chapter before we tell people how they can find you?
Hmm. I guess just I feel like this chapter, like I'm much more proud of it than I have been of anything that I've written in the past like 10 years. So that's also really exciting for me, and that also feels like a bold step. So I'm just really grateful to have that space and to have created something that I do feel is really um, current to where I am in my process and feels really good to have completed and to have out in the world soon.
That's amazing. I love hearing this. And actually, while you said that, so how did it feel for you to have, so it's 3,000 words, which is basically 9 to 10 pages. Did that feel daunting to you in the beginning? Or was that just like, oh yeah, I got that. That's not too bad.
Well, at first I was like, yeah, normally I write like 10 to 15 page essays, so this should be no problem. But I did actually find it pretty daunting as I got into it. And
Mhm.
it did feel like a stretch to kind of get to that almost 3,000 words. Yeah.
Do you think because it was more personal?
Um, I'm not sure what it was. I guess for me, it's always a balance between being artful in the way that I'm communicating and really sharing information that will relate to people and kind of, the parts of my story that are more vulnerable. I think it's because it is the most vulnerable piece that I've written. It's the most emotional piece that I've written because when I was writing 10 years ago, I was not embodied. And I was very much only of my mind and a little bit from my heart. But now I really am in the heart and in my body more, and it is very. I share at a different level than I have before, so that's sort of the edge for me of pushing me kind of outside of my comfort zone a little bit with this piece.
Yeah. So much about being out of comfort zone, which is expansion, everybody.
Yes, exactly.
We flow this way. If it makes you uncomfortable, you're like, hell yes. Let's do this. Bring it on. Bring it on. So, Kelsey, how can people find you?
Yeah, so I am always available to be reached through my website at dialogicalpersona.com. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at dialogicalpersona. Um, I'm on Twitter at the bowler hat, but I'm not as active on there as Instagram and Facebook. And you can find the links to all of my social places on my website. So
Yeah, I'll put all that in here too. So, actually, bowler hat, since you mentioned it, oh my gosh, tell people about the bowler hats.
yeah, so I first was introduced to the bowler hat through the novel The Unbearable Lightness of Being and the movie that kind of was inspired by the book. And I just loved how they played with sort of like the sensuality and the masculine and feminine aspects of the bowler hat in that story. And so I sort of co-opted the symbol, and I actually spent 5 hours at a coffee shop writing this poem wearing my bowler hat because I was like, I'm just going to be here and see what it's like to have it on my head myself, sort of like a method writing exercise. And from that experience, though, I really felt sort of the power of having a symbol or, this object of the bowler hat on my head and really playing with different themes for my life. And then I also learned that part of the inspiration for the bowler hat in the novel by Milan Kundera was also Magritte's paintings and how he used the bowler hat as sort of a symbol for his own self-portraits, but as an anonymous figure. And it was so cool that you actually used that in one of our writing exercises.
So random. Like,
Right.
look at the chances be. Yeah.
Yeah. And that really inspired me to get into my dissertation work for my PhD in transformative studies at California Institute of Integral Studies, which really explores my use of the bowler hat and dialogical self theory, which is a form of narrative therapy.
Whew. Okay, everybody. So you know you need to connect with Kelsey. So much going on, so much deepness, and really getting you in touch with yourself and like your whole self, the whole thing, not
Yeah.
just living up here. So, Kelsey, thank you so much for coming and chatting with everybody.
Yeah, so much fun. Thank you for having me, Hollis. I love this. And I'm so excited to read the book next week.
I know, I know. So thank you, everybody, joining us live. And next Friday, Invisible No More will be launching on Kindle, and we will be posting that everywhere, and we're just so excited about it. So next week you're going to be meeting more of the authors. There's 17 authors in this book, and just appreciate you. So Kelsey, thank you. Everybody, thank you. And we wish you a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in this world. So bye, everybody.